Ever had a massive goal you've been working towards for ages, and instead of feeling pure joy, you just feel kind of empty? Well, you're not broken. The system is. Today, we're going to tear apart something called the goal trap and show you a science-backed way to actually find fulfillment in the journey, not just waiting for the prize at the end. I mean, it's such a weird and painful contradiction, right? You finally cross that finish line, the one you've been dreaming about for years, and instead of this lasting wave of happiness, you're just hit with this, okay, so what's next? That feeling, it's not you. It's not a personal failure. It's actually a built-in feature of a really broken system. So to really get why this happens, we have to expose this hidden psychological loop. It's what I call the goal-setting trap. Think of it like this invisible script that keeps even the most successful, most ambitious people stuck on a treadmill, just running towards a satisfaction that never seems to arrive. Okay, let's take a look at Liam. His entire identity, everything, was laser-focused on one thing: getting into his dream school. He sacrificed it all: parties, sleep, you name it. And that moment he got the acceptance letter, pure, absolute euphoria. But then, a few weeks later, that incredible feeling was just gone. Why? Because the goal was the destination, and once he got there, the whole purpose of his journey just evaporated. Or how about May? She hustled like crazy for that big promotion, that corner office. She was convinced it was the key to fulfillment, and that high she felt when she got it, it was incredible for like a week. Then poof, it just dissolved into the stress of the new job. And what did her brain do? Almost on autopilot, it did exactly what our brains are programmed to do. It just set a new, bigger, more distant goalpost. And just like that, the cycle started all over again. You know, what Liam and May went through, that's not a personal failing. It's a well-documented cognitive bug, and it has a name: the Arrival Fallacy. It's this powerful, pervasive illusion that some future accomplishment holds the secret key to our long-term happiness. But the actual science of how our minds work, it tells a completely different story. So, okay, why does this keep happening to us? Well, the science really points to three main culprits. First up, something called Hedonic Adaptation. This is basically our brain's superpower for getting used to anything. That amazing new promotion? A few months later, it's just the job. That trophy on the shelf? It just becomes part of the furniture. Second, the moving goalpost. Our minds are like these achievement-seeking missiles. The second one target is hit, they're already scanning the horizon for the next one. And finally, number three, external validation. We end up chasing the goals society tells us are important: the promotions, the applause, the likes, instead of figuring out what actually brings us internal fulfillment. But here's where it gets even trickier. It's not just that the destination can be a letdown. No, it's that our brains are actively, almost maliciously, wired to sabotage the journey itself. So, sticking to those big, long-term goals, it's not really a battle of willpower. It's a battle against your own deep-seated cognitive programming. Yeah, as the systems expert Richard Beasley put it, we do a lot less thinking than we think we do. Our brains are fundamentally wired for one thing: efficiency, not accuracy. They evolved to take mental shortcuts, to jump to the quickest conclusion, to conserve energy. And look, that's absolutely brilliant if you need to dodge a tiger in the jungle. But it's a total disaster when you need the delayed gratification to do something hard like build a business from scratch or learn a new language. Let me prove it to you with a classic logic test. Okay, the rule is simple. If a card shows an A on one side, it must have a 3 on the other. Now, which two cards do you have to flip over to prove this rule is true? Most people, and I mean almost everyone, picks A and 3. And flipping the A is right, you gotta check that. But flipping the 3, that's a total trap. It actually tells you nothing. The correct second card to flip is the 7. Why? Because if you flip that 7 and find an A on the back, you've just completely destroyed the rule. This test perfectly reveals a fundamental glitch in our thinking: confirmation bias. Our brains are hardwired to look for evidence that we're right, not to search for evidence that we might be wrong. And that exact mental shortcut is what makes us give up when a big, important goal gets tough. So if our brains are basically wired to sabotage our own long-term goals, how in the world do we win this game? Well, you stop playing their game. You completely change the rules. The solution isn't to find more willpower or to just try harder. The solution is to build better systems. Okay, this right here, this is the absolute core of this entire idea. On the left, you've got the goal-oriented person. Think about it. They live in a state of continuous failure until they hit that one single moment of success. Every other day is basically a loss. But the systems-oriented person on the right, they get to feel successful every single time they execute their system. Their satisfaction isn't postponed until some far-off date. It's built right into the process today. But here's where this whole thing gets really, really powerful. Because building good systems, it isn't just about what you do. It's about who you become. And that's the leap. We're moving beyond a simple productivity hack and into something much deeper. Profound identity change. So stop focusing on the outcome. The goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to write a novel. It's to become a writer. See the shift? Every single time you follow your system, every time you sit down and write for 15 minutes, you are casting a vote for that new identity. You're not just doing something anymore. You are literally proving to yourself that you are that new person. Okay, so how do we actually build these systems? How do we build them in a way that uses our brain's love for shortcuts to our advantage instead of constantly fighting against it? Simple. We automate our success. We rig the game in our favor so that the path of least resistance leads exactly where we want to go. Now, there's a science-backed tool for this, and it's called an implementation intention. I know, it sounds super academic and fancy, but it boils down to something incredibly simple and powerful: creating if-then plans. It's all about taking motivation completely out of the equation. Instead, you delegate control to a specific cue in your environment. You're basically making the decision before you need to make the decision. Let me show you exactly how this works in the real world. A vague goal like, I'm going to work out more this week, that relies on motivation, and we all know how reliable that is. But an implementation intention, that's a precise script for your brain. For example, if it is 5 p.m. on a Monday, then I will immediately change into my gym clothes. Boom. The decision is gone. Willpower is now totally irrelevant. The if, the cue, automatically triggers the then, the behavior. You're not trying to find motivation anymore. You're just running the code. So let's just tear down the finish line. Let's stop chasing a future happiness that goals by their very nature can't deliver. The real game isn't about what you'll achieve someday down the road. It's about who you choose to be right here, today. Remember, every system you run is a vote you cast for that identity. So the only question that really matters is, who are you deciding to become right now?